like a lot of my favorite filmmakers, I think he's really investigating slightly different, perspectives on the same territory. Um, the the consequence of denial, the consequence of emotional denial, or of failure to confront emotional realities, and the way that that reverberates out not only through relationships, but I think in some ways the way that that the personal is sometimes reflected in the political. I think certainly in The Painted Veil and in this movie, you've got echoes of the consequence of failure to confront your emotional realities in individual relationships. But then I think in Stone he's really kind of taking aim at the way that an entire culture can kind of be in denial of its nature. He seems like a person who's almost off the rails, bonkers at the beginning, and whereas Jack is sits in the seat of control and discipline and moral authority and judgment, and by the end, these two characters have inverted uh, almost, and I think that was really, to me, that was really interesting. I think the idea that the idea of a person scratching and clawing and in desperation and kind of finding their own way towards spiritual epiphany. There are scenes in this movie, I mean, there are scenes watching him, they're not even ones that, with my character, there's a scene where he speaks to his priest, his pastor, about not, basically the fact that he doesn't believe in God. And I think it's like a masterpiece of acting. I really do. I think it's like, it's so nuanced and so it's so inarticulate and hidden and subsurface. I just don't think there's a scene too where he gives a eulogy for his brother that falls into that category for me too. There's things that Bob is doing in these scenes that I think if you gave the same scene to 1,000 of the best actors in the world, nobody would do it like he does it in these scenes. There's a way that he approaches a character's inability to speak authentically about what he's feeling that I can't even. I mean, it gave me chills watching it. I really thought it was just like a kind of acting that you really don't see in most sort of contemporary movies. Mila actually reminds me of like some actresses that I really love, like from the '60s and '70s, like Sandy Dennis or Karen Black in Five Easy Pieces, like actresses who were kind of gorgeous, but were not at all like square, like really putting weird elbows into things and kind of strange energy that puts you off balance. Like I think Mila just she straddled the really difficult demands of this part so perfectly. Like I love doing scenes with her. I think she's so there's kinks in what she does that are so original and unusual. It really is a story about liberation. I think about spiritual liberation through the fire of difficult confrontation with yourself. And I think in the quartet of it, if it's a quartet of Jack and Madeline and Stone and Lucetta, these characters are all somewhere on a point in the curve in the journey toward that kind of enlightenment. And I think you you get left with the opportunity to sort of study them and study what they go through and feel how it like reverberates back to you and what it challenges you to do.